Let's go back up to Mary Queen of Scots. Let's do history on her. Today we talk about Mary Queen of Scots. Mary Queen of Scots was born 1542 to 1587, also known as Mary Stuart of or Mary First of Scotland, regened over Scotland from 14th of December 1542 to the 24th of July 1567. Mary, the only surviving legitimate child of King James V of Scotland, was 6 days old when her father died. She ascended to the throne. She spent most of her childhood in France while Scotland was ruled by regents. She spent most of her childhood in France while Scotland was ruled by Regents. What does that spell?
What should I call it again?
Regents. Regents.
That's substitute rule.
And in 1558, she married the Dauphin of France, Francis. Mary was Queen Consort of France from his accession in 1559 until his death in December 1560. Widowed Mary returned to Scotland, arriving in Leith on 19 of August 1561. 4 years later, she married her half-cousin, Henry Stuart, Lord Darnley, and in June 1566, they had a son, James. In February 1567, Darnley's residence was destroyed by an explosion, and he was found murdered in the garden. James Hepburn, 4th Earl of Bothwell, was generally believed to have orchestrated Darnley's death, but he was acquitted of the charge in April 1567. In the following months, he married Mary following an uprising against the couple. Mary was imprisoned in Lochleven Castle. On the 24th of July, 1567, she was forced to abdicate in favor of her 1-year-old son after an unsuccessful attempt to regain the throne. She fled southward, seeking the protection of her first cousin once removed, Queen Elizabeth I of England. Mary had once claimed Elizabeth's throne as her own and was considered the legitimate sovereign of England by many English Catholics, including participants in rebellion known as the Rising of the North. Perceiving Mary as a threat, Elizabeth had her confined in various castles and manor houses in the interior of England. After 18.5 years in custody, Mary was found guilty of plotting to assassinate Elizabeth in 1586 and was beheaded the following year at Forgay Castle. Mary's life, marriages, lineage, alleged involvement in plots against Elizabeth, and subsequent execution establish her as diverse and highly romanticized character in British and European history, and she had been the subject of artistic and cultural deceptions for centuries. Mary was born the 8th of December 1542 at Lithgow Palace, Scotland, to King James V and his French second wife, Mary of Guise. She was said to have been born prematurely and was only legitimate child of James to survive him. She was the great niece of King Henry the Sixth of England, as her paternal grandmother, Margaret Tudor, was Henry's the sixth sister. On the 14th of December, 6 days after her birth, she became Queen of Scotland when her father died. Perhaps the effect of nerves collapse following the Battle of Salem Moss of from drinking contaminated water while on campaign. A popular tale first recorded by John Knox state that James, upon hearing his deathbed that his wife has given birth to a daughter, Ruefulley. What does that spell?
Ruefully.
Ruefully,
Regret.
exclaimed it. Can we, alas, and it will gang we, alas. His house of Stuarts has ganged the throne of Scotland the 14th century via the marriage of Marjorie Bruce, daughter of Robert Bruce, Walter Stewart, 6 high set stewards of Scotland. The crown had come to family through a woman and would be lost through Mary, but through her great-great-grandchild and Queen of Great Britain. Mary was christened at the nearby church of St. Michael shortly after she was born. Rumors spread that she was weak and frail, but an English diplomat, Ralph Sadler, saw the infant at Lithgow Palace in March 1543, unwrapped by her nurse, and wrote it as godly a child as I have seen her age and likely to live. As Mary was 6 days old infant, she was inherited the throne. Scotland was ruled by regents until she became an adult. From outside there were 2 claims. The regency was next in line to the throne. Benton's claim was based on a version of the king will that his opponents dismiss as forgery. Aaron, with the support of his friends and relations, became the regents until 1554, when Mary's mother managed to remove and succeed him.